Thank you. Technical maintenance this weekend is going to cause a full electronic benefits outage, which will impact anyone trying to use their benefits for things like groceries.
Western Mass News reporter Reagan Stoddard has more information on what EBT users can expect this weekend.
The Department of Transitional Assistance provides services to low-income families and individuals, including cash assistance programs, food and nutrition programs, and programs to help individuals train and apply for jobs. This weekend, the DTA will have system maintenance, causing a full EBT outage starting Saturday, April 26 at 11 p.m. to midday Sunday, April 27th. Western Mass News spoke with Rachel Goldstein, the Department of Transitional Assistance CFO, about the bigger plans behind the outage.
This outage is part of a planned conversion to a new vendor, and we're really optimistic that when we're done with this process, people will have reliable service that they can count on. And so when they go to the supermarket or to any other retailer where they're using their benefits, that they can trust that they're going to have the ability to do the transactions they need to do.
According to DTA, they serve 1 in 6 Massachusetts residents, which comes down to be about 1.1 million people receiving SNAP benefits.
When we're finished, people can go back to using their existing EBT cards just like they do today, so they don't need to do anything different.
Goldstein says they chose this weekend for system maintenance for minimal impact to those who rely on EBT.
So by the end of the month, people are most likely to have already utilized their benefits that we've provided, and so it was really the best time to provide as little of an impact as we could.
Earlier this year, DTA added a feature in the app for EBT cards where cardholders can unlock and lock their cards to protect their funds, a feature that can still be used once the transition is complete.
And so after the conversion, we really recommend people to go into their DTA Connect account and make sure that their card is locked.
They will also be providing real-time updates on their website throughout the weekend for SNAP benefit users to check when the outage is over. Reagan Stoddard, Western Mass News.
Still ahead, a local shelter preparing to close its doors needs your help finding homes for the remaining dogs. We'll introduce you to some of the pups up for adoption just ahead.